Curriculum Konversation isn't just talk. It's a movement. This month, we're bringing someone built different, Mr. Taitt, an educator who's walked the walk and leads with heart. This is education for the future. This is Curriculum Konversation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Curriculum Konversation! Yeah! Thank y'all for joining us all in IG land. Thank you to everybody that's here with us today. I'm super excited to have Sean joining us tonight. But before I get into that, I do want to make sure that you all visit our website, www.equationtosuccess.com. We are hiring for the summer. We've got some amazing programming happening this summer. So we want you to visit our website, check out all the job offerings that we have, and apply. I think Monday is the deadline to apply for all of the dope things that we're doing. So make sure that you apply, all right? And join our amazing team that we have. Coming soon to you, we also have our online course that will be debuting next month in May. So be on the lookout for that. Our School Turf Learning Lab. I know last week, which seems like eons ago, Vernita and I shot some pilot episodes for our podcast. So be on the lookout for our School Turf podcast coming soon. We're excited about all the dope things that Equation to Success has coming to you. But tonight, I'm super excited to have Sean Taitt in the building with me, man. What's up, man? What's up, man? We're going to show him a lot of love tonight, y'all. He's doing amazing stuff. But I want to kick this conversation off by just telling you a little bit about Sean. Sean is known for his unwavering commitment to nurturing the growth of those around him. He comes to us with a wealth of experience and a passion for supporting future generations through higher education. Prior to his role as director of field education for Pacific Oaks College, and we know some amazing folks in Pacific Oaks College, those are our people, Bachelor in Social Work program, he made a significant impact at the University of Southern California as the co-creator and program director of a successful literacy-based program, as well as 2 community-focused programs. So listen, I want y'all, everyone here and on IG land, give it up for Sean Taitt.
Hi. Evening, everybody. Hope y'all are doing well.
Yes. Sean, I think I have met you a while ago, but you probably don't remember me, and you probably were like, you were so busy, you probably don't remember me, but you were walking some kids, some little ones through USC. And I think it was Miss McCoy that kind of said, yo, there's Sean, and y'all need to meet. But it's one of those times, it's kids passing everywhere. You're in passing, but I saw you were doing your thing, and I said, well, what does he do? Because I said, he's got the little kids, and my career, I started as a second grade teacher, so I love connecting with little ones. Mm-hmm. And so they said he runs this program called Kinder to College. And I was like, yo, talk to me a little bit about USC, Kinder to College at the University of Southern California. Talk to me about that.
So first of all, I got to say hi, kiddos. Some of them are grown. I think we're going on our second cohort of Kinder to College students who are now graduating high school.
Wow.
So I'm still nuts about that in the first place.
Wow.
It's amazing. So Kinder to College started because of a program that is created now called the Neighborhood Academic Initiative.
Okay.
They were running a pre-college program where they're supporting grades 6 through 12 academically. Mm-hmm. And my boss said, yo, you have the child development degree. You've worked with kids before. We need to build the child elementary version of this. Mm. And she said, we know the school to prison pipeline is a real thing. Here's all the research behind it. And then she said, yo, Sesame Street did a successful study where they had kids in 2 separate rooms. One room had toys while they were playing a Sesame Street episode, and another room had just Sesame Street, no toys. They found that the kids learned exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. So taking distractions, or things we call distractions, away from students may not be the best thing. Sometimes they're using those tools to help them retain the information they're learning. All of that in one bubble, she said, go get the kids.
Man, that's pretty awesome. And I know prior to us getting on, starting, we were having a conversation because you currently teach at Hollywood High during their dual enrollment program, and you're teaching a class, child development, to high school kids. Talk to me about what does that look like? High school kids, child development. Talk to me about what that is.
So traditionally, we would hand out a baby and say, hey, test out how you would raise a baby. Take them home, baby would go off sporadically, push a key in a baby, see what works. That doesn't happen anymore.
Okay.
You want to actually give them real life experiences. So what I try to teach them is, hey, there are other ways you could support kids without having a fake baby. Let's go find a place we can tutor, find a place where we can get you the learning experiences that helps you understand what it's like to work with a kid. And so outside of that, knowing some of my students may not want to work in education directly, I try to get them to understand there are so many avenues you have to work with kids. You don't just have to be the teacher, the campus aide. You can be a pediatrician. You can work in a dentist's office specifically working with kids. It's just a matter of finding the space that you want to be in and see how you can support children through it.
And I love that approach because I know when I was in grad school, you always have to take your methods courses. And my graduate program was completely different because for my methods courses, they always partnered with a school, and day one they brought kids to us and said, figure it out. How are you going to teach this kid math? How are you going to teach this kid ELA? Teach this kid visual and performing arts? All of these things. And so we really had to, for me, it was trial by fire, right? Because I had 5 kids in front of me on various levels. Some below grade level, some on, some above, some special needs students. And so I had to craft something that would work for all of them. And so I know the importance of having children, really working with them and seeing like, how do you make this work? And so I know you have a career in child development, and our evening that we always have is called Kurriculum Konversation. What do you think is missing from today's curriculum in helping develop healthy, vibrant, joyful children?
I'm going to say real world experiences. I feel like when I was a kid, that's when I really got introduced to things like computers, working in cafeterias for that matter, just how do we become productive, helpful citizens in the community around us. And so I think sometimes that's what's missing. Like taking the walk to the post office, taking the walk to the fire department, police station, just so you can see the things in your neighborhood and actually interact with those professions. I think that is kind of what's missing. I think we're so focused on standardized testing and making sure kids pass a test, but we want to make them well-rounded human beings that don't need to necessarily learn from a book. We want them to do that as they grow and get older, but right now in childhood, you gotta enjoy it. And not just enjoy it, identify ways you can learn best with it.
And something you just mentioned as we were talking, you said the importance when you gave the Sesame Street reference. Shout out Sesame Street. KC, gang. Like I used to sit and my mom let me sit in front of the TV watching that, and man, Sesame Street was my joint. But when you talk about this notion of play, so many schools, it's something that I live by and really practice. That's just my pedagogical framing, making sure that kids are always playing. You know, when I'm developing teachers on math and I'm like, we're about to play, and they're looking at me like, huh? Yeah, we're going to play because I want to bring that conceptual understanding out of you. Talk to me about the importance of play in education.
Oh, play is literally a semi-escape from reality for you to pretend like you are the person in that mode. For me, it was Power Rangers. You couldn't tell me I wasn't the Black Power Ranger. You couldn't tell me I couldn't dance, do breakdancing, and emulate him. That's play. So you get to put on whatever hat you want when you are engaged in that and live it. Whether it's gymnastics, whether it's scientists, whatever you want, you live in it. And so making sure we curate and craft spaces for kids and even adults, honestly speaking, to engage in that, it's what helps and expands learning. You get to try new vocabulary and new ways of thinking that you really only try in play.
Now, there is something, they told me you did something called USC Kid Watch. Talk to me about that, Sean.
I love y'all. So USC Kid Watch, You're going to put me on the spot. I got to try to remember some information I forgot. Long story short, USC Kid Watch started from the riots that took place in 92, 94, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the goal was, how do we help our community support the individuals in our community, specifically kids? The issue was, as kids were walking to and from school, lots of dangerous interactions take place. Sometimes we have families who are stationed at their houses for whatever reason that can provide that extra support. And so we made sure to ask them to become volunteers, and we provide them with various trainings, whether it's how to make effective phone calls or even conducting CPR and first aid. We would try to provide them with those trainings so they can be an effective support for any kid who's walking home for any reason.
That's pretty dope, man. How big was that program, and where did it cover? What areas did it serve geographically?
Essentially just the USC area. So we partner with, I feel so bad I don't remember all these numbers off the top of my head. But I'm gonna say about 10 schools ranging from elementary to high school. And we partnered with the LAPD, Los Angeles Department, school police, a lot of different entities that provided community with different resources for support.
In that, and I know with your child development background, right? How do we really talk about the importance, right? Because I know the power of community with kids, and actually having kids value the communities that they come from, and not really think one is better than the other, but really just value their place. How did your Kid Watch program really show kids, yo, I'm in a community that's just really loving on me, supporting me, and wrapping their arms around me?
One of my favorite things was conducting various school presentations where we would get all the kids in the lunch area and literally just talk about the reasons to be safe, look out for our Kid Watch members wearing our safety vest. We talked about anything and everything safety related. And so those moments really let kids know, hey, our community's pretty dope. We don't need to compare ourselves to one or the other. We have what we need here. We have someone looking out for us that may not be our parent that we can trust. We know that we can rely on certain individuals who may have certain types of authority to support us. It was a beautiful marriage, a beautiful marriage.
I love it. And now you're a dual enrollment professor, child development. You know, I've been a professor, so I know what that is like. Talk to me about your experience doing that, man.
So first of all, I love my students. Shout out to any one of y'all that I continue to work with, and I owe y'all credit. I owe you credit. Truly, it's just an amazing experience. My goal has always been, how do I convince people to work with kids? How can I promote, empower, support you to help a child in any way, shape, or form? And so that's all I've been doing the last 7 years, is just reminding students how they can be helpful in any capacity. Some of them want to be chefs, some of them want to go into law enforcement, and fine and dandy, how can you work with kids in that capacity?
So you're making them see the importance of working with children, no matter what vertical that they find themselves in. How do they respond to that?
Positively, because I'm not just pushing a message of teacher, teacher, teacher. It's, hey, you can help a kid however you want. I'd love you to be a teacher because teachers are dope. Shout out to teachers. Love us. And there are other avenues and arenas to support these kids. So even if it's opening up a store for children, if you want to make fashion, cool, make clothes for kids. There's a huge market for that. Oh, you like wearing shoes? Make them for kids. Kids like that as well. One of my students wants to be a football player. Cool. I hope you make it big in the career. How can you help kids become you?
And now you're the amazing director of field education.
I hope y'all let me.
For Pacific Oaks College. Talk to me a little bit about, how did you get into that role? And talk to us about that role.
So truly that role came about because my mentor looked at me and said, I think you would be amazing working with BSW students in the same way you're working with your kinder to college tutors, along with some masters in social work students I was supporting through community immersion at USC. She said, hey, I see what you do. I think you can help make sure we build community partnerships so that these students learn the importance of how to be an effective social worker before they go on to their masters in social work careers or trying to get licensed. How can we make sure we find any space for them to thrive? And so luckily I have skills in building partnerships with different community organizations and agencies, and I've been able to make sure students get placed.
Talk to me a little bit about, Sean, the intersection between child development and social work.
My favorite thing. So truly, the intersection is literally at just supporting and helping and empowering. I tend to see kids as little adults, and I don't know if anyone else thinks that.
Me too.
Yet,
Yeah.
when we treat them as little adults, we empower them to speak and talk like us and to engage in the world where people may not see that in them. So for me, that's it. It's, hey, I abide by the National Association of Social Work Code of Ethics, and I make sure I respect children, give them the dignity they deserve. And I try to teach any students I work with that these same laws apply to all of you, but all of them as well.
And it's important because I know through education, and shout out Vernita and I, we often have these conversations in my entire team because through my career, right, I ran my classrooms in such a progressive way. People would come into my classrooms and say, oh, you don't have any behavior chart. Why?
Oh, sweet.
Why? What I need to? Oh, you don't have bathroom passes. Yeah, I got a pass, but oh, they don't have to raise their hand to go to the bathroom? As an adult, do you have to raise your hand and say, hey, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom?
Just the thought.
Right? And so the concept that you're talking about, treating little kids as adults, oftentimes we try to encroach kids' freedom, their identity by saying, oh, this is what you have to do, and without giving kids the autonomy to really say and have that opportunity of choice.
Exactly.
I am super grateful, and my mom is here, but we always have this conversation with my mom, and it was even with my great-grandmother and my grandparents. They always gave me a high individual degree of choice in conversations. And consequences of, okay, here are the choices that you can make, Kimon.
That part.
Now, if you make this right, here's the consequences. I'm not gonna stop you. My advice to you is to do A. You know, I always wanted to try door B, and then it would be like, but here's what's waiting for you behind door B. And then I would come back to them and be like, yeah, y'all was right. But it wasn't punitive, right? It was a conversation where it was like, you came to us, you told us this is what you wanted to do. Here are the choices. We're going to let you decide. We're not going to be like, this is what you need to do. But when you hear, based on the choices that you're saying you want to make, here are the consequences. And so I think that helps now begin to develop a healthy individual. What would you say, how would you say your social work students describe you?
Oh, that question is a doozy. I think my social work students I think everyone says I have a lot of energy and I'm very personable and approachable. So that's part A. The other side is I'm deceptively critical. So
unpack that.
Yeah, I love reading their assignments, and I'll tell them things look great, but I'll also critique the heck out of them and say, oh, this could be reworded differently, and so on and so forth. So I'll give high praise, but I also demand quality work. And so, yeah, I may seem like I'm happy-go-lucky, calm, cool, and collective, which I am, but when you hand me a paper and I'm supposed to let you through the gateway of social work or let you through the gateway of teacherdom, I'm going to make sure you're an adequate professional, or not even adequate professional, someone that demonstrates you're willing to mature and grow to become one of these individuals. The last thing I want to do is send someone into a classroom or into an environment where they're not helping people. I never want to be a detriment to the professions we work with.
No, and trust me, they'll benefit it. I operated as a professor the same way as you, and when they get out into the profession, I got the emails, Dr. Wilson, thank you. Like, you told me this is how it was gonna be, and I didn't believe you, but you helped me with a critical lens. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, people like to wax poetic. The educational field, which I'm sure they do the exact same in child development and social work, but when you get into the field, kids are not perfect.
Exactly.
You're going to have multiple classes. None of them are ever going to be the same. They're all different with different personalities, different needs, different parents, different communities, and how do you adapt to meet them where they are and just push them even higher and further. You're doing social work, you're doing child development, you're doing all these cool things, which I often say service. They're service-oriented professions. How do you stay grounded, man?
My wife and my son.
How long you been married? You told me, but I want to tell the people how long.
13 years.
Hey, y'all clap it up. Y'all clap it up for 13 years.
Hey, wifey.
That's dope. What keeps you going, Sean?
Truly, I just want to be influential and supportive however I can. I know people go through a lot on a daily basis, and so if I can ever interact with them and just be there for them, that's really it. I know what it's like to not necessarily have people in your corner supporting you. And so I hate hearing people go through that, especially students, when they're really trying to navigate and empower themselves. I just want to make sure I can put the battery on their back to let them know this moment might suck and it might be torturous, tremendous, any word you want to use, but you can get to the other side. Someone said a while ago everything sucks on the way to resiliency. Yeah. And so the moment you are resilient, you've gone through all that crappiness, you can move forward.
Yeah, yeah. And being director of field education, how do you balance accountability with empathy with your students, right? Because you've gotta, I was always cognizant to love on my students, but always be very critical and push them to greatness. How do you balance?
Well, it goes back to the example of how I hate saying this, but it goes back to how we work with kids. It's, hey, you got choices. You have one choice to excel, do well, let me guide you on how to make this paper as great as possible. But the other choice is you can be neglectful and not communicate or convey what's going on. I can only support you as much as you reach out to me and say, I need help. And that's kind of the hardest thing for, I'm gonna say anybody, is just being vulnerable enough to say, I'm here, but you need to show me how to do this or guide me in a better way.
Yeah. And, you know, and with us, we always just keep it super duper real, man.
Oh, me, transparency.
And, you know, I founded this company on making sure that Black children have the best possible education that they can have, including my brown children, our underrepresented population, who oftentimes are overlooked, othered. And so what would you say we should really think about in terms of education, in terms of child development? What should we be doing for our Black and brown children?
Am I allowed to say diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Say it.
Okay, cool. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I don't get in trouble for saying that for some reason. But truly, it's just being accepting of anyone that's in front of you and helping them. Like the last thing I would want is for someone else's kid to sit in front of me and me not support them and have their parent look at me sideways and say, why didn't you help my kid? Yeah, it's literally just making sure everyone has access to the information and we teach them. I think that's truly the one thing that's missing.
How do you model thoughtfulness in your own interactions with colleagues and students? Oh my God. That's the one. That's the one.
Wait,
you want me to say it again?
Yes,
How
please.
do you model thoughtfulness in your own interactions with colleagues and students? And I'll talk a little bit to give you some more think time.
That was a left hook of a question.
Right? But the reality of it is, when I was teaching teachers, right, which I still do now, but at the university level, I would always model. When I walked in the classroom, I would model the exact, even though I'm in this big lecture hall, I would model exactly what I wanted them to do with children so that they saw it.
Got it.
Right? If I was teaching math, I didn't have a textbook open. When I came in the classroom, I knew exactly what I was teaching, how I was teaching, and the various ways that I would allow for different viewpoints to come at me. And they, a lot of them will remark, man, Dr. Wilson, this is like, you do like a masterclass type of thing. Yeah, this is how I want you to show up for kids. If you coming in class, you looking at your instruction guide and you look, what are we doing? You haven't prepared. And so how are you modeling your interactions with students? What do you want when they see Mr. Taitt come through the door or just observing them in the field? How do you show up as?
Authentic. Nothing more, nothing less. Truth be told, if I'm not ready, I got to show that to them and let them know, yo, this is not how you're supposed to show up. Let me come in another day. Let me redirect you and show you how you're supposed to do differently. So between authenticity and honesty, transparency, I think that's what I give to my colleagues and anyone is just, hey, if I'm not having a great day, I got to tell you, because either you're going to see it on me non-verbally or I might displace it on you. And I never want to displace feelings or emotions when they don't need to. So truly, it's just, hey, bud, hey, colleague, hey, coworker, let's do what we need to do together. I hope you're feeling well. Always do a check-in because you got to check the temperature. Can't jump into a hot, boiling room. But outside of checking the temperature, literally just being honest.
That's dope, man. Working in your field that you have, what is something, seeing a child, what can you say you felt like so much great joy, or you said this was a success. I hit this out the park. We all have those moments where we're like, yo, I really did my good stuff with them. Talk to me about a time like that.
One of my favorite times was at kinder to college. I recruited the kids during kindergarten, and I would follow them up until 5th grade.
Nice.
One of the COVID years, we had implemented a music program where kids practiced playing the flute. Said kid practicing playing the flute, got better at it, excelled. He performed at the 5th grade culmination. A couple years later, mind you, 5th grade culmination, I'm like, oh my God, he's doing it. This is lit.
Yeah.
A couple years later, I found out he's playing for YOLA, Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles.
Nice.
And so I'm sitting there like, oh my God, he's doing this thing. He's growing, he's maturing. So those moments are grand because honestly, time moves by so quick.
Yeah.
And so being able to say, I've seen kids grow from a kindergartner and excel well to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. By 5th, you find your love and your passion. I got to see kids find their love and their passion and thrive in it.
That's dope.
I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah.
Like the first time I grabbed a skateboard, I know what that feeling was.
Yeah.
I could only want to provide people with that same feeling.
Yeah. And talk to me about, because I know this is super important as I sit here, your journey in this space as a Black man doing this work.
These questions. He didn't share them with me. Journey as a Black man in social work.
Doing this work.
It comes with not having support and finding it in the most randomest places. I want to be mindful and say the right thing while I'm on camera on IG Live. Not everyone is there for the support. Some folks are there for a season, some folks are there for a reason. And so really latching on to the people who see something in me and are willing to draw it out. I think that as a Black man is the hardest thing because we may not have the role models to show us what we need off rip. And most of the people in my life, all of my mentors, they all looked at me one time in a classroom and said, hey, yo, you're great with kids.
Yeah.
Go with them.
Yeah.
That's all it took. Or, hey, like, I know your grades might not be the best, but I know there's brightness in you. Do this differently and you'll excel.
Yeah.
The same grace I would give a coworker is the same grace that people gave me. And so without that grace as a Black dude, we end up in the worst case predicaments.
Yeah.
Or I imagine.
Yeah. And no, it's so important to have those mentors that really speak life to you, right? Because I never saw myself in education, working with kids. It was like I was on a whole nother path until, shout out to Dr. Davis, John Davis, rest in peace, that brother. But he literally is like, when I was telling him, I got my corporate job and I'm hitting and I'm making money, I got the company car. And he was like, he just sat, we had dinner and he just sat and looked at me and he was like, Kimai, like, I've always seen you always just helping kids. Like, you're not in education? And like immediately I was like, oh, okay.
What took you so long?
It was like, bruh, you could have told me this. Like, and I did everything that I needed to do to become an educator. And then I've just progressed on down the continuum. And so it's important. I know the importance of having, particularly for me, Black male mentors in my life that really saw greatness in me, spoke life into me, helped me be on the path that I needed to do, get all the things that I needed to get, and still be with me today. So I know we need more folks in social work, child development. We need more brothers like myself in education because it matters.
Immensely.
It matters. I tell people all the time, you know, when they're like, oh, well, Black boys or Latinx boys aren't doing it. They don't. If they don't see it, how can they be it, bro?
And I'm noticing a lot of people are Twitter thumb finger listeners.
Oh my gosh.
People aren't in the trenches doing the work, identifying and seeing how our kids are growing and developing. So for the most part, I'm like, you need to stop listening to online and social media. Come talk to experts who are in the field doing this work.
Exactly.
Because we will tell you how these kids are doing, whether it's positive or negative. We'll get you the real.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sean, this is my last question before I open it up to my folks here in the building to see if they got any questions for you, because
Let's go.
I had you in the hot seat. But when it's all said and done, what do you want folks to remember Sean for?
These questions. Oh, these questions. I want to be remembered for making a positive impact in any way, shape, or form. I hope my good moments outweigh my bad moments in whatever interactions I've ever had. That's what I want.
Dope. Questions for Sean.
Nervous. You asked. Hey, I said
Y'all give it
all
up. That's my brother Lachelle right in the building. There you go.
No, nervousness. I was gonna be honest. I
I
told
was
you.
hearing a lot of questions that were being asked about your thoughtfulness into how you go into the room. I heard you kind of mirroring, reading the temperature. I guess my question is, how do you grapple a sort of an understanding of the room so that you can go in on those moments when you don't know how to, come into the class and engage that particular student body?
I kind of go in Rasa Libre, blank slate, blank tablet, and then I check in with each and every one of my students individually. I think that's something most teachers don't do, but checking in with each one of them lets me know how every little pocket of a table's doing, and then from there I can bridge and say, oh, maybe I need a little more energy, maybe less energy, maybe less talking for me today, more check-ins with the students. And so honestly, it's just that one-on-one conversation before I go to the masses as a class.
You keep going. Yeah.
Oh, please.
Because I'm always mesmerized by teachers who can work the room like that and have that attention in such a short time span. Does that all happen in one sitting? Do you kind of how do you move through that and then still be able to get your lesson out for the day? I'm always mesmerized.
I give them 20 minutes.
That's perfect.
Yeah, no more than 20. It gives me enough time to reach everyone. If I need to pull someone on the side, have a separate conversation, we definitely have time for that, but 20 minutes, no more, no less. And I always give credit to my social work background because I'm a social worker before I'm an educator. So I will go in saying, oh, let me meet this person, blank slate, and then tell me how you're feeling, what's going on. So then I can approach education, let's move forward. Your day's going great, cool, let's move forward. Oh, things aren't going well at home, let me keep my clinical hat on, let's have that discussion, find out what support I can offer. Once we are breathing calmly, because the exacerbated breaths are different from the deep summit soul breaths. Once we get to summit breaths, we can teach.
Sean, and I'm going to open it back up, but because you said that, the biggest problem I think we have in education is that kids' humanity is not honored on a day-to-day basis.
Bars.
And so by the fact of you just simply doing that and taking time out, Vernita and I often have the conversation where teachers get so pressed when we say, you gotta know who your students are, and they'll look and say, I ain't got time for that, I gotta do these standards, and I'm like, you move instruction so much faster. Shout out to Bret Hart. Vernita and I ran a Saturday Math Academy with these kids who have been pushed out from school and all of these things. And Vernita and I intentionally just built community with those kids. Every Saturday we were there. We took time out. We fed them breakfast. We talked to them. We just did like a circle. We have this circle up thing where we just honor everyone's voice. And then we got into the content. Those kids yearn for that time after time. Like when I was there and Vernita might be running a little late, they like, where's Miss Vernita? I'm like, she's coming. They're like, well, we can't do nothing until she get here. But it was because we developed that relationship to the point. Her and I we were there one Saturday, and it was thunderstorming that day. Me and her didn't want to come. Like it was raining that crazy in LA that we called each other. And it was like, man, we gotta do this Saturday. It was like, yeah, we showing up, and we're like, ain't nobody coming today.
Oh, my heart.
We was like, ain't nobody coming today. Like it's raining too crazy in LA. Anybody? We had kids pulling up on bikes. Like, y'all, we not missing this, y'all. Like, they look forward to us being there. But first, we value them, and then those kids start flying in math. To the point now, we haven't been there a year. I just saw one of the principal and the teacher said, the kids are asking about you all when y'all coming back. And so we know the importance of just valuing folks' humanity.
Exactly. Word to what you said earlier, the cross-section between child development and social work, human. So how can I help humans?
Yeah.
And how do I convince other people that humans are important and worth working with?
Yeah. And we don't even do that as enough in our adult relationships.
Not at all. Not at all. It's difficult. Yet, if you instill that in kids and nurture that as they get older, it makes it less difficult to engage as adults. Some of my high school students now talk about feeling disconnected and how difficult it is to find someone they can reach out to for anything. And I tell them, yo, I understand, but you can only stay in that way for so long until you have to reach out to somebody. So I try my hardest to be that person to say, hey, if I know someone that can help you, if you don't tell me, I can't do it. But the moment you say word, I'm the plug, you can go as far as you want.
That part. Renee, somebody. Go ahead. Cindy or Renita, whoever.
I'm going to go because it's from the chat.
Oh, okay.
So Supernova Star 17 says, out of all your teaching experiences, what has to be your favorite?
Oh, oh God, I think I know who that is, so it's fine. My favorite.
So you got to include them in your teaching.
My favorite teaching experience would have been actually this past week.
Okay,
So,
talk about it.
One of the things I assigned my child development students was a 3D diagram.
Nice.
One, make a layout of whatever center you want to create, so reading center, library, all the above, and then make a 3D model. I told them, hey, you got a whole week, 144 hours. We on spring break. Use some of them hours, build the diagram. Unfortunately, I live life with low expectations because I'm like, you can't hurt me with low expectations. You can only shatter my expectations. But I walked into class, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my co-teacher, and lo and behold, I see box after box after box.
Nice.
And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I'm actually crying here. Y'all brought your assignments. But truly, unfortunately, things happen in people's lives where, for whatever reason, assignments don't get done.
Yeah.
And I'm accepting it, I receive it, and choices. There's a consequence, and I hate failing y'all. I hate it.
But I will.
But I will.
Yeah.
So honestly, them bringing the assignments back, that showed me hope.
Yeah.
That showed me that they actually care about the work that they have. And for whatever reason, things might impede that. But when given time and space, they rise to the occasion.
Nice.
Great question. I know who to give extra credit to.
Renita?
So I heard you say, I wrote it down, that you think of children as little adults, right? And so I have two statements in the question. I just really appreciate that you don't just see them as little adults, but you see them as little adults not on their way to prison.
That part.
So that whole piece of not lifting, where else do we lift a finger to say, can we go to the bathroom?
Right.
A couple places.
Uh-huh.
Right? One of them was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Bars.
And then I'm always impressed when I meet folks that know how to lead through circles. And it sounds like that's what you do. So my question for you is, how do you help children understand the fact that it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice, right? How do you help them understand the thing that you said, which is, or the thing that you do, which is you can be a leader, but you're a better leader when you lead through service. How do you help them understand that?
I may have to sit in a dark corner and really think of that answer, because that's a really great question.
That's why I hired her, Shy.
Oh my God.
She's a thinker when she wants to be.
Man. You know what? I'll go ahead and say, I always tell my students, the thing you want to be in the future is something you've already lived and experienced. You just have to draw back and remember that feeling it gave you. And so for most of my kids, it's, hey, what I tell my students also is, who is that person for you? What role did they have? Because whatever role that is, you should probably go there. You'd thrive. I still got to sit in that dark corner and think of an answer to that, because dang, that's a question. But really just reminding students, hey, you can be the person you want to be to help lead them. It's just a matter of finding someone that fits that role and taking it from there. Oh my God, that was a great question. Oh, you can tell I was stuck. I need to reflect on that.
You got another one, Michelle? You got another?
Actually, it was a piggyback off the question, but I wanted to know, because this particular work that we do is kind of always giving of self. How are you bringing some sort of spiritual, emotional, physical self-care for yourself, reserving your tank, because you're hitting so many children in a day, and how does that extend into your work with them? to see that as part of your process?
That's a good question.
Is it happening?
Yes, it is, but you're asking me in front of my wife, so I want to be mindful.
Okay.
I want to be mindful. Mindful.
Actually, I want it to be extended from the family, like for yourself.
Got it. Truly, it is hard. I call them the demon hours because when everyone's asleep, that's when I actually get to do some things. Yet, with the support of my wife and other family members, there are moments where I get to play video games, where it's not dark and I get to see sunlight at the same time. There are moments where I get to read books or listen to podcasts. Ironically, doing things with my son and my wife can be fun. So going on trips and taking excursions, seeing
It's fun. Don't say can be.
is
There you go. It's fun. Sean.
is fun. This is what I mean by support. They catch you, they
I got
uplift
you, bro.
So
Happy wife, happy life. That's
happy spouse, happy house.
there you go. There you
Happy
go.
spouse, happy house, love you, honey. But truly, and I like to journal. And I'm kind of intentional about who I journal to. So
Yes.
my stepmom, Carol, was the ultimate social worker. She raised me, my aunt, who's a sister to me, and we're both social workers. We got cousins, all this North Carolina family. All of us do service work.
Wow.
And she kind of led that. So that's it. It's literally just remembering who led the path for me to follow, remembering how they did that work and following it. And every time I faltered on that path, I have to remember the path. So there was a moment I worked for a car dealership, had nothing to do with kids, fell off the path. I learned quick. Hey, keep working with people, be of service, be of help, you're on it. Yeah. Oh, and therapy. I love you, honey. Therapy. Go to therapy.
Yes.
Seriously, my therapist, we've been together for at least 6 months, and yes, we're together, we're in a marriage, we're locked together. I love my therapist, he's a great man. But spending that time, sharing my thoughts, and being honest and vulnerable, that's been the most helpful. Going back to Black boys, we aren't, Black and brown boys, we have a difficult time learning emotion and sharing it. Someone today said if we don't know how to connect the emotion to the feeling our body has, boys tend to just navigate it every which way. And so I have a duty to make sure our boys can identify sadness, hurt, anger. And shout out to my wife, because she looks at me too and she's like, yo, Sean, you're appearing a certain way, but you may not be sensing it. And then I have to go in the dark corner, process and say, oh, she was right, as usual.
That's right.
Hey.
That's right.
So thank you for the reminder. Therapy is very helpful.
Yeah. How do you, and I got a question, you're talking about therapy, right? And emotions. You know, I was very fortunate enough to grow in a family where it was okay for men to cry. So I remember crying and homies would be like, what you crying for? And I'm like, see my grandpa cry, we can do this. And so in the work that you do, right, how do we push that boundary? Because I know growing up, I had to fight because I was exhibiting my emotions and I didn't have a problem because I saw the Black men in my family do it, right? And so how do we now push those boundaries in child development so that we have more, I don't want to gender it, but because I think everybody could benefit from this. But when I particularly look at my Black boys and my brown boys, right? I was so fortunate to teach elementary because I got to give them a whole different side of what Black maleness can be.
Yeah.
And so how do we actualize that in child development?
Truly, it's just like you said, be the role model for them. So let them know, hey, my day is bad. This is how I'm demonstrating it. But notice, I'm still a professional showing up at the end of the day. So you can tell me what's going on in your life, and I'm going to support you as best as I can while also recognizing I may not be at my best self. And challenging them. When students make obscene comments, which is a regular occurrence, actually questioning why they're coming up with that thought, how it can be harmful or helpful, and making them see the error of ways or their understanding of what they're trying to convey. Because sometimes in that, you're understanding there is a disconnect between some emotions you have to feel and how it would help society.
Any other questions in the building for Sean? Cindy?
Another question from the chat.
They love you in the chat, Sean. Look at it.
We actually do have DJ Science 7 wants to say, love the work you do, Sean, keep it up.
I love you, DJ. Shout out to the Room to Read gang.
All right.
She had me write a children's book.
Oh, nice, nice.
And then Star would like to ask, who else in your life was your biggest inspiration?
Ooh, who else in my life was my biggest inspiration? So outside of my mom, who worked multiple jobs every day to sustain me and my brother, stepmom, she gets the ultimate praise. If I get emotional, it's fine.
Let it go.
When I was in second or third grade, my dad had a severe stroke. And so we had just moved from California to North Carolina. We had just gotten settled in, and he had just fell into this coma. So I don't know the time frame he was in the hospital, because again, third grade, I was a kid. But my stepmom stepped up. I did something egregiously wild, which was run away from home. She loved me enough to go next door to the neighbor's house, because I didn't run far.
Yeah.
Just right next
It's
door.
never far when you're that young.
Never far. I was hoping it would be, but it wasn't.
No.
But she went next door and got me. And she was like, yo, I see what you're going through. Your dad is going haywire in the hospital. Like, we need to love up on you. Now, granted, you're going to catch a few for cutting a hole in the screen. Consequences, choices. But I'm going to love on you and teach you this life lesson.
Yeah.
So, stepmom.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You just made me think about a time. I got mad at my mom, and so I threw my little clothes.
You threw
Threw
something?
my little clothes in my suitcase.
Your
And my
braveness.
mom was like, where you going? I'm leaving. I was a little kid. I'm leaving. And I remember it was dark. And I'm walking with my little suitcase, and we have this long brick wall. And so I'm thinking, by the time I get to the end, someone's coming. They're coming. Someone's coming out there. You know me. Like, hey, they love me. Someone's coming. And I'm walking. Sean and I turn around. No one's back. Nah, I'm going back up.
I didn't mean to do it. I'm
It
sorry.
was so
Let me put him on the hook.
quick. It was so quick. So, yeah. That made me remember that.
Oh, and if I can, I would be remiss not to mention Kristen Pariza, Cal State Northridge Child and Family Guidance Center. They were the first people to show me that I can work with kids, but I'm also destined to not just teach, but also lead. I was trying to make my own schedule, and they were like, you can't do that, but you'd be a great supervisor for having the thought of creating your own schedule. I was like, thank you. Krista Pariza, Kim Thomas Barrios, I love you, wouldn't be here without you.
Oh, we love Kim.
Dr. Mary Starks, I love you, wouldn't be here without you. Honestly, it's just the women that saw something in me and just pulled it out. My wife, wouldn't be here without you. Thank y'all for helping me get here and getting me further, because this isn't it.
That's it. Y'all give it up for Sean Taitt. Thank you, Sean. It's been a pleasure, man. This has been a pleasure. You've lifted my spirit.
Thank you. We said earlier we're not fans of necessarily talking about ourselves, and this gives me a moment to take a step out and actually see the work I've done, appreciate it, and show gratitude to all the people that have helped me get here. So thank you. But truly, when I say I'm in the work, my head is deep in it, and I am not paying attention to what's on the outside. So thank you for getting me to do so.
Absolutely, man. I am a positive believer of uplifting and showcasing. Anytime we have this platform, we're showcasing folks that are doing amazing things in our community, amazing things in our world, in the field of education and beyond. So I'm just grateful to have you today, man. I salute you. Continue to be a powerhouse in everything that you do, and know that we've always got your back here. You've got a family and equation to success, man. We appreciate you, support you, and love you deeply. That's it, y'all, for Curriculum and Conversation. We'll see y'all next month when I can't wait. Our guests are my favorite folks, the African American Parent Council of Pasadena Unified School District. Y'all don't want to miss this. This is going to be a time. So until then, we'll see y'all later. Peace.